Hi everyone and welcome back to a new video. So you guys might be confused by the title of this video and why it says part 1. Well, that's because I am redoing everything that I did in the old series, but in a much better way. And I also prepared everything before starting this new series, so I'll not repeat the same mistakes. And I'm also trying to make higher quality tutorials, so the tutorials will be a lot better, and this will all be done in 4 videos. And here's a little clip of what we're gonna be making. Also, if you guys want to support me and want to have access to all of my project files, including the one you're watching right now, they will all be available on my Patreon in the $10 tier. The link will be in the description. With that being said, let's start. Alright, so here I am in an empty base plate, and what I'm going to do is set up the project. So I'm going to add a folder, and it's going to be called main. Okay, I'm going to just call it main folder underscore workspace. So main folder underscore workspace, and then I'm going to add another folder inside of it, and I'm going to call it drops, and I'm going to add another folder, and this one is going to be called player pets. Make sure it's spelled exactly like I spelled it. And then I'm going to create some drops, so I'm just going to add a part, anchor it, and just change its brick color to maybe red. And I'm going to right click and group it as model, and then I'm going to rename it to red drop, and I'm just going to add an int value inside of it, and it's going to be called max health, and I'm going to set its max health to 100 and duplicate this value by right clicking and duplicate, or you can just press Ctrl D. And I'm going to rename max health to health. And then I'm going to... Okay, so I left a link to a model that I created, and it's basically a BillboardGui that displays the drop's health. So just go ahead, the link will be in the description, press it, press get, and then you can open up the toolbox and go to my inventory, or I mean my models, and just get health display. Now, when you get it, it should be added to the workspace, and just drag it inside of the red drop, and you can customize it however you want. You can maybe add a UI stroke to it, give it a nice stroke, maybe you can make it rounder with the UI corner, or whatever you want to do with it. It's just a bar, a background, and a text label. Now the next thing I'm going to do is duplicate this drop, and let's just say the next drop will be a metal one, so I'm just going to call it metal drop, and I'm going to change its material to metal, and I'm just going to make it gray, or okay, just this color, and I'm going to change the max health to 200, and this metal drop will be in another area which we don't have yet, but you're gonna have multiple areas in your game, and this one will be in the second one. You can make your drop look however you want it to be, and then I'm just going to make sure that the primary part of both of these drops, so just select the drop and go to primary part and just click part. Now do the same thing for the other one, so metal drop, click primary part and click on the part. Now what I'm going to do is add a folder inside of the drops folder, so it's a subfolder, and I'm going to call it area 1, and I'm going to get my red part and put it inside of the area 1, and I'm going to add another folder, and it's going to be called area 2, and I'm going to get my metal drop and put it inside the area 2. Now what I'm going to do is just put this right here, maybe a little further. Alright, so now we need some pets. So what I'm gonna do is just, so maybe you have your own pet model, but I have these 5 pets right here made by WillAusie1. Follow him on Twitter, and I'm going to show you how to set up your pets. Now my pets right here are already grouped in a model, but they are facing the right way. So if I add a decal to this, as you can see, the front surface is the front of the pet. So the pet is looking directly at the front. So if your pet, if you add it, and for example, your decal will be on the left, and it's actually the front. What you're gonna do is add a part to this, to the dragon itself, to the pet itself, and just copy the size of your pet, or maybe you can place this manually. So just select it, add a decal to it to know where the front surface is, and as you can see, it's right there. So I'm just going to rotate the part. So just rotate it. I'm going to change this to 45 studs on the rotation, and I'm just going to rotate this one like that, and I'm going to cover the entire pet. So just cover the pet with this part. So just cover it correctly. And what I'm going to do next is rename this part to primary. And then I'm going to make sure that this primary part is transparent. So transparency set to 1, and the anchored property to true, and the can't light property to false. And the dragon, the other parts, for the other parts of your pet, just to make sure that they are not anchored and they are not collidable. But for the primary part, make sure that it is anchored and that it's not collidable. Now what I'm gonna do is show you how to weld these together. So just add a weld constraint to the primary part and press part 0 and set it to your primary, and part 1 to the other part. Now if you have multiple parts, just duplicate this weld constraint and just press part 1 and set it to the other part. I only have one part, so one weld constraint is enough. Now I'm going to select my pet model, and I'm going to go to the primary part and set its primary part to the primary part. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do this to all of my other pets, and I'll be back. Alright, so I just set up all of my pets. So if your pet has wings and it flies, so if your pet is supposed to fly, don't do anything to it. But if your pet is supposed to walk, add a string value inside of it and rename it to walks. And do the same thing for all of the other pets that walk. So just copy your walks value and right click on the dog and paste into. Same thing for the bunny, right click, paste into. Same thing for this, right click, paste into. Now what I'm going to do is add a folder inside of replicated storage, and I'm going to call it pets, and I'm going to add another folder and I'm going to call it remotes. And I'm going to select all of my pets and drag them inside of the pets folder that we just created. And also I think these pets are a little too big, but we'll worry about that later. Now what I'm going to do is, okay, so I made a model of a script. You can get it in the description. So again, press get, and then when you go to home, toolbox, you should see pet follower, pet max series. Now just click it, and if it says pet follower includes one script, just press OK. And you're gonna drag this pet follower inside of storage GUI. Or okay, so storage GUI, or maybe I would, okay, so I would rather put it inside of starter player scripts and enter your pet follower. And what I'm gonna do is, okay, so it's a bit complicated, so I can't really explain what this does, but basically just positions the pets around the character and lerps them and sets their C frames. But what we're gonna do is get this script, put it inside of start player scripts, and now we're gonna add a script inside of server script service. And this script is going to be called, okay, so script, and it's going to be called server or main server. And what I'm going to do is add a folder inside of this main server script, and it's going to be called player data. And inside of this player data script, I'm going to add a folder, and it's going to be called maybe, okay, so I'm going to call it values, and I'm going to add a object value inside of this, an object value, and I'm going to call it sent to. And then I'm going to, okay, so its value is set to nil. Make sure that it's an object value. And what I'm going to do next is inside of the script, I'm going to get the players service. So local players is equal to game colon get service players. And then I'm going to do players.player added colon connect function player, and then players.player added colon connect function. Players.player moving, sorry, colon connect function, and that's also going to take the player. Now what I'm going to do is, okay, so we have both of these. Now I'm just, okay, so in here I'm going to create some variables. So local main folder underscore workspace is equal to workspace.main folder underscore workspace. Local player pets is equal to main folder underscore workspace dot player pets, and local drops is equal to main folder underscore workspace dot drops. Now what I'm going to do in here is whenever a player joins, we're going to create a brand new folder. So local folder is equal to instance.new folder, and I'm just going to do folder.name is equal to player.name. So we're going to create a new folder. We're going to set its name to the player's name, and folder.parent will be the player pets. Now that we've done that, when the player leaves the game, something very important that we need to do is check if there is a folder inside that's named the player's name, and it's inside the player pets folder. So if player pets find first child player.name, then what we're gonna do is player pets find first child player.name destroy. And what we're gonna do after that is loop through for underscore comma v in pairs player in pairs script dot player data get children do v dot name. Okay, so I'm just going to do v clone dot parent is equal to and player. So what we're doing here is whenever a player joins, we create the folder that I talked about, and we're gonna clone everything that's inside of this player data folder, and we're gonna put it inside of the player. Now I'm going to add a folder, and I'm going to call it leader stats. So leader stats, and I'm going to add an int value to it, and it's going to be coins. And I'm just going to set it to 1,000. And then I'm going to play the game and see if what we did works. So if you play the game right now, and okay, so I'm just going to go up to the workspace main. Okay, so player pets, and we see POLARISPROG, which is my username. So we know that this works. Now what I'm going to do is show you what happens. Okay, I'm going to show you, and let me just try something really quick. I'm going to just check something. So okay, now something I forgot to mention is inside of each pet you're gonna have an object value, and it's going to be called attack. Now just copy this object value and paste it inside of all of the pets. And now if you play the game and we go to replicated storage, pets, and I'm just going to get a random pet, maybe a bunny, and copy it and paste it inside of my player pets folder, inside of POLARISPROG. As you can see, it works, and it walks on the ground. And if I duplicate it, this is the cool part. But we are not going to be covering in this series how to equip multiple pets, but this is up to you. Maybe if you learn a bit more, or maybe you can do it right now, you can script an inventory that equips multiple pets. But for now, we're only gonna have one. And if I go ahead and select my pet and copy the and go to the attack value and click on it and go to the drops and area 1 and click on the red drop, it will go there and start attacking it, which is a cool thing. Now if I just set this to nil, it will go back to my character. Now I'll show you how flying pets fly. So if I just go ahead and get the dragon and just put it inside of POLARISPROG, as you can see, it now works and the dragon flies. Okay, so I'm going to stop the game, and what I'm gonna do next, is add a click detector inside of all of my drops. So add a click detector, and you can mess around with the max activation distance and the cursor icon, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just going to add the click detector to both of these. And I'm going to enter my main server script. And what I'm going to do right here, so I'm going to loop through. So for underscore comma drop in pairs, workspace in pairs drops colon get descendants do. What we're gonna do is check if drop colon is a model. Model. Then alright, so if it is a model, then what we're gonna do is drop dot click detector dot mouse click colon connect function player. And what we're gonna do is we are just going to get the player pets. So local player so we already have a variable for that, but what we're gonna do is get the pets. So just local. Maybe I can rename this to player underscore pets, or maybe current player pets is equal to player pets dot square brackets player dot name, and we're gonna check if hashtag current player pets colon get children is greater than 0. Then what we're gonna do is get the pet. So local pet is equal to, and it's just going to be current player pets colon find first child of class model. So we're gonna get the first player with the first model that we see, which is the pet that the player has equipped. And what we're gonna do is check. So we're gonna check if player.values.send to is equal to nil then. And if it is equal to nil, then what we're gonna do is just change the player send to value to the drop, and then we're gonna do the pet. So pet dot attack dot value. When I set that to the player dot values dot send to dot value. Now the next thing we're gonna do is so let me think about this. So else if player.values.send2.value is equal to the drop, then what we're gonna do this time is do player.values.send2.value is equal to nil, and pet.attack.value is equal to player.values.send2.value. Now else if player.values, so just put this in, if player.values.send2.value is not equal to nil and player.values.send2.value is not equal to the drop, then what we're gonna do is player.values.send2.value is equal to the drop, and pet.attack.value is equal to player.values.send2.value. Now if you play the game and just so if you play the game, so I'm going to go to server view. So just go to current client, and we are in server view, and what I'm going to do is go to the pets, and I'm just going to get the dog, maybe the fox, and I'm going to paste it inside of the my player object. Now I have a fox, and if I go ahead and click on one of these, it should go there and start attacking them. And if I press this, it should go there. And if I press this again, it should come back to me. Now we know that this works, and what I'm going to do is see if I can... Okay, so first of all, what I'm going to do is drop.max.health.value is equal to drop.max.health.value. And the next thing I'm going to do is add a script to starter player scripts, and it's going to be called... Okay, so I'm going to call it main client. And inside of this main client script, what I'm going to do is what did I just do? Anyways, what I'm going to do is just task.spawn function. And what I'm going to do is while task.wait. So every 1 second do. So every 1 second we're gonna check. Actually, we're gonna need something else. So local players is equal to game.getService players, and local player is equal to players.localPlayer. And I'm going to check if player dot values dot sent to dot value is not equal to nil, then, and player dot values dot sent to dot value dot health dot value minus equal damage. Now this damage variable will be right here, and the damage, so local damage, it will be maybe 1. But instead of doing this, what I'm going to do is just set... Okay, so I'm going to set this to math.max, and it will be from... Okay, so player dot... So just copy this, paste it here, minus, and minus... minus damage, comma 0. So what we're doing is just... So what this does is basically just limits it to 0, so we can't go... So the health can't be -1 or -2, so it can't be a negative number. And now if I play the game, then this should be working. So I'm just going to go to server view, go to pets. I'm just going to pick the cat this time, and drops or player pets, and paste it inside the player object. And if I go ahead and just select the drop right here and go to the health and press it, it should go down every second by 1. Okay, so when it's at 0, it stays at 0 and it doesn't go down even more. But as you can see, the pet is still attacking that, but that's for the next episodes. Alright, so this is going to be it for today's tutorial. If this helped, please subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!